इस वक्त की अहम एक ब्रेकिंग न्यूज इस वक्त आ रही है। विदेश मंत्री एस जयशंकर चीन के विदेश मंत्री से बात करने के बाद मीडिया को संबोधित कर रहे हैं। सीधे आपके लिए चलते हैं।
Strong sentiment with G20 countries expressed on the need to strengthen multilateralism in the context of the dramatic changes in the global order, and the G20 recognized in the context of the UN the essentiality of reforms and the need for reinvigorated multilateralism. The important principles of international development cooperation, such as host country ownership, equal partnerships, tailoring such cooperation efforts with local needs. These were some aspects highlighted by the G20. They also touched upon the need for MDBs, the multilateral development banks, to mobilize additional financing and welcomed efforts to provide additional financing for sustainable development goals. The outcome document also stresses upon the need to have reliable food and fertilizer supply chains, as well as resilient and sustainable energy supply chains. In the context of global food and energy insecurity, this, we believe, is a very important message. I would also like to highlight that the foreign ministers unequivocally condemned terrorism in all forms and manifestations and recognized that all acts of terrorism are criminal and unjustifiable. They called for strengthening of efforts to deny safe havens to terrorist groups, freedom of operations, movement and recruitment, as well as financial, material or political support. The G20 also reflected upon the threats arising from the misuse of new and emerging technologies and highlighted the importance of strengthening international cooperation in that regard. For the first time, the G20 foreign ministers considered and discussed the topic of counter-narcotics and called for inclusive and strong international cooperation in this regard. They also discussed the topic of global skills mapping, and this was in the context of the changing nature of work. They recognized that well-integrated, skilled workers benefit not only in their country of origin, but also the destination country where they may happen to be employed. The G20 also accepted the need to strengthen international cooperation in the field of humanitarian assistance and disaster risk reduction. This will be further discussed in the working group on this particular subject, which has been newly set up by the Indian presidency. Now, as you all know, women-led development is one of the key priorities of the Indian presidency, and it has been personally highlighted by the Prime Minister. After due deliberations on the G20 table, the foreign ministers affirmed the need to put gender equality and empowerment of women and girls, including their leadership, at the core of our efforts for inclusive recovery. Important discussions on global health were also held. The statement, the outcome document I'm talking about, highlights the need for strengthening key aspects of global health architecture, support for the pandemic fund, and continued political attention to global health. It stresses the need for implementing the One Health approach. The foreign ministers addressed climate action in the context of common but differentiated responsibilities and urged developed countries to fulfill their commitments to deliver on.
भारत के विदेश मंत्री एस जयशंकर इस वक्त बात कर रहे थे। G20 में जो विदेश मंत्रियों की बैठक हो रही है, उसमें चीन के साथ विदेश मंत्री के साथ उनकी द्विपक्षीय बैठक के बाद बता रहे थे कि क्या-क्या मुद्दों पर चर्चा हुई।